Welcome to another FAR walkthrough video from Superfast CPA. I'm Logan, and in today's video we're going to be going over FAR Area 1, C, Remembering and Understanding. Recall the measurement focus and basis of accounting used by state and local governments for fund and government-wide financial reporting. And we're going to be doing that the Superfast CPA way, which is diving straight into questions to learn the material. If you don't know much about our strategies, that's the main idea, is that we dive straight into the questions. We use the questions to inform us on what we need to know. Instead of spending hours watching lectures or reading through the textbook, we go straight to the thing that you'll be doing on test day, MCQs and Sims. If you want to learn more about our strategies, make sure you go check out our free 1-hour webinar training on superfastcpa.com. It's only 1 hour, it is free, and we will show you and teach you the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam, how to be effective and efficient, and make sure that you don't waste any time. The link to that will be in the description, so make sure you go check that out. And just one more thing, we will only be going over 5 questions in today's video, whereas Superfast CPA members will have access to the full 10-question video when we post it in the members forum. So if you like this, you can get more of it by becoming a Superfast CPA member. With all that said, let's dive straight into the questions. All right, here we are at question 1, and as we dive into these questions, each one will kind of build off of each other, and you're going to learn something new from each question. With this first question, we want to kind of learn what fund accounting even is, if you don't know what that is, so that we can get an understanding to go for the rest of the video. So if you don't know anything about it, that's okay. We'll just go straight to the answer, but if you have an idea, maybe think about it and pause for a second, and if you are ready, let's go ahead and look at the answer. All right, the answer is D, enterprise funds. Now, these are one of the things that are not a fund category. So let's read through this to get an understanding of what we're even talking about here. First off, fund accounting is used to separate money and expenses into specific activities or for different objectives. So you're kind of putting money in different places so you know this money is used for this money is used for that. Think of separating between municipal water and public transit, for example. So 2 different parts of the government, so you're separating the money in those ways. In fund accounting, there are 3 primary fund categories, each serving different purposes in governmental financial management. Now, these are the 3 categories, but there are multiple funds in each category, so we're going to go through those. So to start, there's governmental funds. These funds are used to account for activities primarily financed through taxes and other general revenues. The types of funds included in this category are the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, capital projects funds, and permanent funds. And by the way, we are going to talk about all the different funds here, just kind of naming them and talking about their measurement focus and basis of accounting. But you will probably be doing a much deeper dive into the funds when you take BAR, if you take BAR. So here we're just kind of giving a preliminary look at what all the different funds are. So let's go ahead and read the rest. Proprietary funds. These funds account for operations similar to private businesses where services are provided for a fee. The types of funds included in this category are enterprise funds and internal service funds. So these are the things that, you pay for it. It's run by the government. So, public transit and, again, water. Those are the things that would be in the proprietary funds. And then finally, fiduciary funds. These funds account for resources the government holds in a trustee or agency capacity for others. So this is just money they're holding, not necessarily that they can use. The types of funds included in this category are pension and other employment benefit trust funds, investment trust funds, private purpose trust funds, and custodial funds. This also used to be called agency funds, so you may see something like that. But again, these ones are ones that it's really just money being held for a specific purpose, not necessarily that it's being used like a small business or that it's taking general revenues and applying them to different things. So with all that, you'll notice that enterprise funds, even though they are a type of fund, they are not a fund category. They're inside a fund category called proprietary funds. So that's why this answer up here is D, because even though it is a type of fund, these other ones are not a specific fund, they are fund categories. So governmental funds, proprietary funds, and fiduciary funds are the 3 fund categories for fund accounting, but then each one has their own fund types that fall into those categories, and enterprise funds are one of the fund types that fall into proprietary funds. Now again, you're going to be doing a deeper dive into all of those, most likely in BAR, because a lot of governmental accounting has been moved to BAR, but you still need to know these. This is probably one of the most difficult things to remember, all these different names for the different funds. There's 11 funds, 5 in governmental funds, 2 in proprietary funds, and 4 in fiduciary funds. So definitely take some time to make sure you understand which funds go where, but in this video we're going to talk about what the measurement focus is and the basis of accounting is for these funds. So let's go to the next question. All right, here we are at question 2. Which of the following correctly identifies the measurement focus and basis of accounting used for governmental funds? Okay, so we talked about the different fund categories. Remember, governmental funds are one of the fund categories. And now look here. There's current financial resources and economic resources. Those are the measurement focuses. And then there's accrual basis and modified accrual basis as the different basis of accounting that you can use. So which one of these is the correct pair? Which one of these is something that describes governmental funds? Do governmental funds use the current financial resources and the accrual basis, or do they use the economic resources and the modified accrual basis, or is it a little bit different? If you don't know, that's okay. Again, we're using these questions to learn. So if you do know, that's great. If you don't, let's go ahead and look at it together. All right, here we are at the answer. The answer is D, current financial resources and modified accrual basis. So this is the measurement focus, current financial resources, and the accounting basis is modified accrual basis. So that's what you use for governmental funds. Let's walk through this. Governmental funds use the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting. The measurement focus and basis of accounting for different funds and statements is determined by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB. So all of this that we're talking about in this video is all determined and created by the GASB. So now let's read what this measurement focus and basis of accounting even means. The current financial resources measurement focus emphasizes the availability of spendable or liquid resources, recording only short-term assets and liabilities. It is concerned with whether there are sufficient current resources available to cover current obligations. All right, so that's the measurement focus that governmental funds use. They use the current financial resources, and then they use the modified accrual basis of accounting. Under this basis, revenues are recognized when they are both measurable and available, and expenditures are recognized when the related liability is incurred, with some exceptions, such as long-term debt or pensions. This approach is suitable for governmental funds because it aligns with their focus on short-term financial health and ensuring sufficient resources to meet current obligations. Now, the biggest thing that you need to focus on here is a little bit less on what the current financial resources and the modified accrual basis of accounting mean. Now, it's good to know those. I'm not saying it's not good to know those. But the most important thing to know here is that governmental funds use this measurement focus and this basis of accounting. So just remember, when you're talking about fund accounting, the most important thing to remember when it comes to this is governmental funds use the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting. So that's the biggest thing that you need to remember from this question. Let's go to the next question now. All right, here we are at question 3. Which of the following correctly identifies the measurement focus and basis of accounting used for proprietary and fiduciary funds? Okay, so these are the other two categories besides the governmental funds. So is it the same? Do they completely flip-flop, or is it a mix? If you don't know, that's okay. We're going to look at the answer again to know the difference here. All right, here we are. The answer is C, economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting. So it's actually the opposite for proprietary and fiduciary funds. So let's dive into this. Proprietary and fiduciary funds use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting. So again, the opposites, or the other two options, compared to the governmental funds that use the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting. Now, just so you know, the economic resources measurement focus is focused on accounts for all assets and liabilities, both current and long-term. It provides a complete picture of the economic resources available and obligations owed by the entity. So this is a more complete view of the organization, like the state or the municipality. And then the accrual basis of accounting, revenues are recognized when they are earned and expenses are recognized when they are incurred, regardless of when cash is received or paid. This method provides a more comprehensive view of the financial position and operations over time, and this is more suitable for proprietary and fiduciary funds because it aligns with the business-like nature of proprietary funds and the fiduciary responsibility of managing assets held in trust for others. Now again, I wanted to explain what that all meant, but the most important thing that you need to remember is just that proprietary and fiduciary funds use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting. So it's different than the governmental funds measurement focus and basis of accounting. Now with that, let's go to the next question to learn a little bit more. All right, here we are at question 4. Now it's a very similar question, but instead of talking about the funds, we're now talking about the government-wide financial statements. What is the measurement focus and basis of accounting used for government-wide financial statements? So for the statements that governments have to prepare, do they prepare them on current financial resources measurement focus or the economic resources measurement focus? And then do they use the modified accrual basis of accounting or the accrual basis of accounting? Again, if you don't know, that's totally okay. This is a very conceptual video. If you have an idea, that's great. Let's go to the answer. All right, here we are at the answer. B, they use the economic resources and accrual basis. So in fact, it turns out that government-wide financial statements use the same measurement focus and basis of accounting as proprietary and fiduciary funds. The only funds that we're going to cover in this video that use the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting are government funds. So just keep that in mind. That's pretty much one of the biggest things you need to learn from this video. Now, with that said, I just want to go over really quickly what the government-wide financial statements are. The government-wide financial statements provide a broad overview of a government's financial condition. They present the financial position and activities of the government as a whole rather than focusing on individual funds. So this is, again, something that they're showing all of the funds or all of the activities of a government. Now, what's included? Statement of net position and statement of activities. Again, a lot of this stuff is you're going to go into much more depth when you go to bar if you do take bar. So that's why we're just kind of learning what these things are. We're not diving super deep into answering questions about is this in the correct place for the statement of a net position or so on. Again, we're just focusing on what is their measurement focus and what is the basis of accounting that they use. So that's the idea there. We're going to do one more question before we look at our pillar topics. All right, here we are at question 5. Now, this is the only question that we've been able to do this with. So what we recommend with Superfast CPA is going to the very bottom of the question so you know what the real question is to give you context for the whole question. So we read here, how many of these funds use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting? Okay, so now we can go up here. Here's the funds that are listed: General Fund, Enterprise Fund, Special Revenues Fund, Pension Trust Fund, Internal Service Fund, and Capital Projects Fund. Now, out of all these, which one use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting? Now, we just went over this in the previous questions. Hopefully you've been taking some notes or paying attention. So hopefully you can figure this out. Go ahead and pause the video, think through these different funds, and decide which ones you think use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting. And when you're ready, come back, we'll look at it together. All right, here we are. The answer is B3. So only 3 of these are going to use the economic resources measurement focus and accrual basis of accounting. Let's go through it. The General Fund, this uses the current financial resources measurement focus and modified accrual basis of accounting because that's a governmental fund. In fact, if we go through here and look at these different ones, the ones that don't use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting are the governmental funds. And that makes sense because we already talked about how that's the case. So the General Fund, the Special Revenue Fund, and the Capital Projects Fund are all governmental funds, and so they do not use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting, which means that the other ones are proprietary or fiduciary funds, and they do use that measurement focus and that basis of accounting. So the Enterprise Fund, which is a proprietary fund, the Pension Trust Fund, which is a fiduciary fund, and the Internal Service Fund, which is a proprietary fund, all use the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting. So overall, in this video, the main thing that you need to remember is which funds use what measurement focus and what basis of accounting. Now we have learned that, and before we go any further, we're going to do one more part of the Superfast CPA process, which is called Pillar Topics. Now the idea behind Pillar Topics is as you're going through the questions to learn the material, you will see questions that keep popping up that are trying to teach you the things that you need to know. You know, you've seen 3 or 4 questions just on what is the measurement focus of this fund or that fund. You keep noticing it, and so obviously it's important according to your review course, so you write these down as kind of a summary, kind of the key points of what you learned so that you can have it for later. Let's go ahead and look at the pillar topics for this video. All right, here we are at the pillar topics. And again, this is kind of a summary. This is kind of the most important things that you can pull out from the questions that you just did. So what uses the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting? The governmental funds. And what are the governmental funds? The general funds, the special revenue funds, debt service funds, capital projects funds, and permanent funds. Now again, you probably won't need to dive into necessarily a lot of what those do, maybe a little bit, but mainly that's in bar. But you do need to know that these are the governmental funds so that you can know what their measurement focus and their basis of accounting are. The characteristics of the governmental funds emphasize the availability of spendable or liquid resources. Revenues are recognized when measurable and available, and expenditures are recognized when the liability is incurred. Now, as far as the economic resources measurement focus and the accrual basis of accounting, that's where the proprietary funds and the fiduciary funds and the government-wide financial statements, that's where those are. That's what they use. So the proprietary funds, which are the enterprise funds and the internal service funds, and then the fiduciary funds, which include the pension trust funds, the investment trust funds, the private purpose trust funds, and the custodial funds. By the way, obviously you can see a theme there with the fiduciary funds. These are all things that are trusts or that you are keeping for somebody else. That's why it makes sense that it's custodial. And then the government-wide financial statements. So the characteristics of these, they include all assets and liabilities, both current and long-term. Revenues are recognized when earned, and expenses are recognized when incurred. So overall, the thing that you needed to learn from this video is that when it comes to using the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting, that's for governmental funds. And then everything else uses the economic resources measurement focus and accrual basis of accounting. So that's proprietary funds, fiduciary funds, and the government-wide financial statements. And with that, those are the pillar topics. That's what you need to know from this video. Before you go, make sure you go check out our free 1-hour webinar training on superfastcpa.com. Again, it's only 1 hour, and we will teach you how to pass the CPA exam without wasting months or even years of your time by being efficient and focusing on what's most important. Also, just a reminder, we only went over 5 questions in this video, but Superfast CPA members will have access to the full 10-question video when we post it in the members forum. So if you liked this, you can get more of it by becoming a Superfast CPA member. And again, if you did like this, make sure to like it and leave a comment. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.